This video is all about how to complete a very simple, straightforward mini cross-stitch kit. This one's called By the Sea. When you get your kit, open it up, and inside you'll find the thread, a piece of Ida, which is just the size you need, a needle, and a plan. So, this plan tells you exactly where to place each stitch. On the plan, there are arrows showing you where the middle of the cross stitch exactly falls. And to line it up with your Ida, this Ida's already folded, so you can tell that just there is exactly the middle. That's where you will start your cross stitch. Okay, first thing we need to do is sort out our thread though, because it comes in a lump like this and it's not very clear which piece is which. So, first thing to do is untie the knot and separate it all out into colours. These colours are corresponding to, on your plans, a different symbol. So each square has got a different symbol in the middle, and each symbol, like there's a dot, there's a squiggle, there's a heart, there's a star. Each of these symbols relates to a different colour. On the bottom it tells you just here which colour is which. So this heart here is pink, so that's definitely going to be that one, the heart. Backwards end squiggle is the darker yellow and the dot is the lighter yellow. The triangle here is the green and the star is the blue. So what I'm going to do in order to organise this thread so it's a lot easier to use is actually create a little thread organiser for myself. So I'm going to use this blue card. I'm going to cut just a small section, because I might take my cross stitch out with me somewhere to do it, so I don't want it to be too big. Take a section of the card, and I've got 6 different colours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 6 cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and opposite them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and each thread I'm going to take and put into my thread organiser, through the bottom and the top, and just let it dangle. It really doesn't matter, whichever way suits you, just so long as it keeps them all separated and organised and you know which colour is which. It's easy to get hold of them. And then I'm going to label these threads on this using my pen. Okay, so I've got the heart is the pink, so I'll just put a heart next to the pink. I've just organised all my threads. I'm really clear on exactly which colour relates to which symbol. So when I come to cross stitch, I'm going to be really confident in knowing which colour is which. You can also refer to the picture on the front and the plan together to be really clear about exactly which colour goes where if you're ever in doubt. It's nice to see what it's going to look like at the end as well. On much larger cross stitches, where you had a much bigger piece of Ida, you would use a hoop to hold it really taut. But on a piece this small, you don't need that. You can just hold it in your hand. Because of the way this is crisscrossed, we know exactly where the middle is. And on here, we just check the exact middle is going to be, and I will just place a small mark on the spot there. So the middle, although the middle falls in the middle of 4 different stitches, it doesn't matter, you can just choose any one of those 4 to begin in the middle. It doesn't really matter. You would just choose your lighter yellow or your darker yellow to begin with. It wouldn't really matter. I'd probably choose the lighter yellow because there's more of those stitches around the area and it's more satisfying to begin with a larger number of stitches of that colour. Now that I've decided I'm going to start with my lighter yellow, I need to prepare my cotton ready for stitching. So you take a piece of yellow. These all come in six strands of cotton twisted together. So you actually need, for normal cross stitching, just 2 of these. So you take 2 away, very carefully, just gently pulling, twisting as you go to allow the fabric to unravel. And those 4 strands there can go back on your thread organiser, you don't need them for the moment. The remaining 2 I would always recommend separating and unwinding as well. Otherwise, when you stitch, you'll find that your thread constantly knots and twists, which is not what you want. So just allow any twists in that to come out by running your fingers along and then line them back up together so they're even at the top. Then I would always recommend using this Thread Heaven product, which you can get from haberdasheries. It's only a few pounds. As you can see, I've used mine quite a lot already. And all you do is you place your thread in between your fingers and you just pull your thread through, and you can do that a couple of times, and then just run your fingers along to distribute it's a thread conditioner, so you just make sure it's evenly distributed, and that means that your cotton it'll slide really, really nicely through your eider. It's easier to work with, it just looks smoother when you've completed your cross stitch. So then all you need to do is just thread your needle, and in the end you need to just create a waist knot. So that is just a simple 1 loop knot in the end, as close to the end of your thread as you can do, and I'll show you what this is for in a moment. It's just for starting off, so just create that. Okay, on my plan I have identified that I would like to work on this section first, so that it's these 4 here. I'll have to take this into account, so that's 5, and this one here 6. So I'm going to do a row of 4, missing 1 out there, and this 6th one. So I'm actually going to put a little mark on my eider where this one will go, and I'll put my needle down in the eider about here, and then I'll stitch back from here towards the waist knot. So my mark on my eider, when it just focuses you'll be able to see, is there at the middle. So from there I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to place my needle down a little tiny further along, about there. Pull that through, and a waist knot places itself there. Now I'm just going to stitch from here back towards the waist knot, 4. I'm actually going to do half stitches, and I'm going to do them all in the same direction, going from the lower left to the upper right. I prefer to have all my top stitches go in the same direction. It's sort of a bit of a convention of cross stitching that's what happens, because the overall effect at the end is much nicer. That's 4. I'm just going to miss out this 5th one and go on to the 6th. My first cross stitch I ever did not do that. The back was covered in knots and all the top stitches were in different directions, and you know what, it didn't matter at all. I was still dead proud of it, but as you get better, it's really nice to make all the stitches go in the same direction on the top. So as I've done this, I've stitched towards that waist knot and back away from it. I will have trapped the thread leading to it behind. Then I can just trim off that waist knot, There we go, and you can see the marks covered up now as well. So I can trim off this waist knot. Let's just check the back. You see the waist knot's here, and it's trapped the thread leading towards it, which is really good. So we're just going to trim off. Oh, my scissors. These scissors I have are, I only ever use them for snipping threads when I'm doing cross stitching, and that keeps them really, really sharp. They're quite a nice pair. Bought them from a haberdashery shop, and if they do get blunt, you can have them resharpened. So they're quite expensive, but I really love them. You trim off your waist knot. They're really precise. That's why I like them, and they're nice and sharp, so you don't have to mess around, you know, fraying your thread trying to trim it. Just trim that off, and then I'm just going to go onto the back and pull the thread leading to the waist knot away from the hole so it's not peeping through. There you have your first 5 stitches done. You've got your block of 4, the gap, and then that one as shown on the plan. So now I'm going to carry on stitching. I'm going to carry on with the rest of that row there and these 2 here, and then I'm just going to work my way up until my thread runs out, and I'll come back and show you what to do when my thread runs out in a moment. When you're cross stitching, it's up to you whether you choose to do a full cross stitch as you're going along, so completing full crosses, or if you choose to do all the half stitches first and then cross them back through on the way back. It's completely personal choice. So long as it's logical and you're not making huge leaps on the back of the eider, then it really doesn't matter, and it's up to you how you choose to do that. Now I've completed all that main block of light yellow working its way upwards, I've actually run out of thread, so I need to finish this off. I haven't got room for any more stitches. So as you can see on the back, it's looking nice and neat. I've kept an eye on it to make sure there's been no knots or anything, and I'm just going to slide my needle through, there's the end of it there, through the back of some of the stitches, making sure that I don't dip out into the front. Just catch them through, and they're nice and tight, you see, and you just pull the needle through gently. It just traps the thread through the back of those stitches, and then you can just release your needle and using your scissors trim off any excess. So now all that section is complete. You can see all the top stitches are going in the same direction, and the back is nice and neat with no knots. It's really important when you're cross stitching not to pull too tight. If you pull too tight on the stitches, you enlarge these holes in the eider and your stitches look taut and strained. Just pull gently, and you get these lovely fat slick stitches that give a lovely overall effect at the end. So you can see that on the side, it's looking really good. Now I'm a little bit bored with doing light yellow, so the next colour I'm going to use is my darker yellow and start to fill in some of these gaps. I'm going to start with these 4, make sure I get these done, and then go down and do these ones here, and then if I've got any thread left I can go ahead and do some more here.